Okay, so here's where we left off. This is our cube. Now we're going to need to set it up so that we can start applying textures to it. Now, to apply textures to something, you need to have some nicely laid out UVs, which is just another way of saying the coordinates of each of these faces to receive textures. So what we're going to do is, up here we've got our UV texture editor. If we click on that, we'll notice that our box has all the UVs that we need, but it's missing out a lot of this extra detail that we've added in with the extrusions. You've got a lot of the bevel edge detail, but it's not going to give us the result we want. So for this project, because it's such a simple object, we can simply go up to Create UVs and then come down here to Automatic Mapping. And if we click that, it's going to make a whole heap of calculations within the program to try and guess how to best calculate the surface area of this to be able to make it usable for textures. So if you look back at our texture editor, you'll now see that it is laid out in quite a few more different parts, which is going to be much easier for us to use. So if by clicking here we can actually select each of these parts, but for now we're just going to leave them where they are. So we'll go ahead and close the UV editor, and if we just marquee drag across our box and right click and then come down to assign favorite material, we're going to assign a Phong E and select that. And then while we're here, we're going to go through and select each of these inside faces, the parts that are going to be have the little lights behind them to shine through, and we're going to right click, go assign favorite materials, and this one we're going to make as a blin. Now, these have all been set up, and what we can do is come over to our Hypershade Perspective split screen mode, and you'll notice that we have our blin and our Phong E that we created before. We're going to go ahead and name these. So we've got our Phong E. We're going to call that metal, and our blin, we're going to call that plastic. Just to show you a bit of what's happening here, we'll just slightly change the color of the plastic, and we can see that we've got two different materials assigned here. But just as they are, they're a bit plain, a bit ordinary, so we're going to add some texture maps to texture it up a bit. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and found some dirt and some metal images that I think are going to be useful. And this is where working within a Maya project comes into its own. Images will automatically be sourced from the source images folder. So I'm just going to come over here and drag these, drag the dirt and the metal texture and just drop them into my project file's source images. Now, when I go back into Maya, I can open it up and go to the plastic shape, and where I see color, I can actually click on the texture box here and say that I want to put a file in there. And now it'll give me this option here to actually load a file. So I'm going to go ahead and select my dirt image and go open. And now that's actually applied it to the box. You can't actually see it at the moment, which we'll need to change. So we're going to go ahead and click on this textured view here. And you'll see that that will show up the textures on all those different sides that we'd assigned with that blin plastic shape. And so what we're going to do is do the same thing with the metal. So we're going to click on the metal material, click on color, and give it a file. And we're going to go through and look for the file, and because this is set up as a project file, it would automatically go to your source images, which is where the metal and dirt textures are. So we're going to select the metal this time, and open. Now, so that's starting to look like what we want. We've got some metal on there as well as the dirty sort of scratch texture, which is great. So we're going to start having a look at adding some extra color into this, but we're going to do that with lights, and we're going to be addressing that in the next tutorial.